G'day guys and gal. A lot of people try to claim that there are no good guys in Warhammer 40k, just different shades and flavors of evil. While I understand the sentiment, I'll take the tyrannical fascist cosplayers that are fighting for the survival of mankind and seek a new golden age of peace over the guys that grind slaves into dust, snort them, and then play with their nipples as they blast hardstyle so loud it melts your brain. Warhammer understands this. It understands that it's always extremely fun to read about word bearers or Emperor's children getting humiliated or annihilated, and I literally have cheered mid-audiobook before as I hear about the hero finally wrecking the shit of that mustache-twirling villain that I've been fuming about all book. Nothing made me cheer harder than the satisfying deaths of each of the main Emperor's Children characters. If you're wondering where all the named Emperor's Children went, they pretty much all died. So I decided let's make a feel-good video today and check out the satisfying deaths of the Emperor's Children main characters. Before we get started, there is only 24 hours left before I permanently take down most of the Space Elf Lord range from Major Minis. GW has done a fantastic job with the new Phoenix Lord releases, so I feel like the Major Mini Space Elves are no longer needed. The Space Elf Avenging Lord, Fire Lord, Hawk Lord, and Spider Lord will all be permanently gone within 24 hours. No STL release, no cheeky tricks, say goodbye. We're running a 15% off clearance sale to get rid of the excess stock, or if you get all 4 Space Elf Lords in a bundle, it's 25% off. Maybe you like the Major Mini version more, maybe you want to save money, maybe you think they could make a great X-Arch, or maybe you just want a mini that will become a rare collectible. Either way, you have 24 hours left. While you're at it, why not check out the rest of the range? We have dozens of models covering multiple factions. There's something for everyone. You can even pick up a pre-painted model while you're there. We offer that. Link is below. Today we'll go over the satisfying deaths of the various Emperor's Children characters, detailing why they were so insufferable and how they died. Let's get into it. So you may have noticed in the current setting that the only actual Emperor's Children model is Lucius. Maybe Fulgrim as well, but I wouldn't really count him. And yes, there is Fabius, but he's doing his own thing. Alongside Lucius, Eidolon is also in the setting, but without a model. But the kicker is both Lucius and Eidolon have been killed, so they both fall under today's topic. What happened to the rest though? What about Marius Varosian, the first Noise Marine, or Julius Caesaron, the first captain of the Emperor's Children? I want to first start with the death of Marius, as it put a massive smile on my face. The Noise Marines are cool, but they're also fucking assholes. They obliterate people through sheer destructive noise. It's a horrific and humiliating way to die. Even by the standards of the Emperor's Children, Marius was a degenerate. His body was a mass of surgery scars as he had various speakers and other noise-enhancing devices implanted. His mouth was literally replaced by a noise grill and his eyes became these metallic black orbs. He was fucking horrifying to look at and even worse to listen to. Thus his death would be that much more satisfying. See, there was an Iron Hands Morlock who was wounded and half deafened by the Noise Marines on the killing fields of Isvan. He managed to escape, only to have his hearing completely obliterated by a follow-up attack by Noise Marines during the Shattered Legion's various missions. Needless to say, this Morlock, Ignatius, fucking hated Noise Marines. During an engagement between the Shattered Legions and the Emperor's Children and Iron Warriors during the events of the Angel Exterminatus, Marius was blasting loyalists with his loud as shit gun. He sighted down Ignatius and fired. The range meaning that the blast would not kill the Iron Hand, however it would fry his hearing and stun him. However, Marius was shocked that Ignatius didn't even flinch. He was completely deaf, so the noise didn't do shit. Ignatius simply responded, "Sorry, I didn't quite catch that," before firing a Volkite cannon, a vicious weapon that exploded through Marius' chestplate, boiled his blood and organs, and eviscerated him. It's not known what went through Marius' insane brain as his body was atomized, but the Noise Marine didn't even have time to scream before he was obliterated. One of my favorite moments from the book for sure. The next satisfying death is an interesting one because it didn't exactly take, the death of Eidolon. Now you may be a bit confused since Eidolon currently leads the largest force of Emperor's Children in the current setting, but as we know from many examples, death is not exactly an absolute permanent thing in Warhammer 40k. When Fulgrim was possessed by a demon and then self-exorcised, he kind of went insane. All of his worst tendencies like his insecurities, ego, and anger issues went into overdrive. He started issuing orders and giving his legion campaigns that didn't seem to make much sense. At this point, some of the legions, such as Eidolon, were still somewhat sane and were dedicated to the traitor's cause. Fulgrim's random side quests seemed really irrelevant, like they went to a planet full of crystals to harvest the crystals as some kind of self-indulgent pointless thing. In truth, it was all a part of Fulgrim's scheme to become a demon prince, but even that in itself was just selfish and didn't do much for the legion. During one of his mission briefings, Eidolon, who was more or less Fulgrim's second in command, was like, "Bruh, why?" To which Fulgrim responded by raging and then cutting off Eidolon's head, killing his Lord Commander. People give the line shit for punching off Nemiel's head, but at least he didn't just decapitate his second in command on a whim. When Fulgrim calmed down, he realized that he probably needed Eidolon, so he got Fabius to retrieve the head, preserve it, and then reattach it to Eidolon's body. The surgery was a success, with Eidolon actually regaining most of his motor functions and intelligence. However, it made him look and sound like a retard. His voice was now slurred, his skin was now loose and grey, a lot of his hair fell out. He went from a proud, charismatic leader to this ghoulish creature. It was a massive humiliation. To be fair to Eidolon, he has done a solid job for someone who lost his head, leading the Emperor's children during Fulgrim's absence, keeping them as cohesive as possible, and actually directing them towards goals that made sense. If I had $1 every time an Emperor's children main character would be killed in a humiliating way but then revived by Fabius, I would have $2, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice. As we now talk about the death of Lucius. I know Lucius has died many times, however his first true death and his most satisfying happened during the same battle that Marius was slain at. See, Lucius was extremely up himself and fancied himself the greatest Space Marine swordsman. He was good and had won many battles and duels, but he wasn't the best. He just hadn't found anyone better yet. That was until he encountered Nakonai Sharakin, a legendary Raven Guard hero. They briefly dueled during a previous engagement, and Lucius was shocked that Nakonai not only matched him blow for blow, but actually managed to cut him before withdrawing. He was desperate for a rematch, and a rematch he would get. The two warriors battled during the events of Angel Exterminatus. As they dueled, Lucius realized two things. First, he was outclassed. Nakonai was a better swordsman, had a jetpack, and he could also wraith slip, an ability that allowed him to blend in with the shadows and sort of go invisible and teleport and shit. His second realization was that he would die, unremembered on some unknown world. As these realizations hit, Nakonai stabbed Lucius through both of his hearts, a guaranteed kill, and the swordsman fell dead. With Nakonai remarking that killing Lucius wasn't this prideful act of victory, but more so putting down a rabid dog. When his body was recovered, Fabius inspected it and was like, nah, this dude dead as fuck. However, Slaanesh found Lucius so entertaining that she breathed life back into him, enough for Fabius to work with and return Lucius to full life, something that confused even Fabius. Lucius would go on to die dozens more times, many of them humiliating, like stepping on a landmine, always returning due to the curse of Lucius. However, it was this one that really stands out as his first true death. This next one is a bit more of an honourable mention, but I did still want to include it. The two technical deaths of Fulgrim. Many people don't really know this, but Fulgrim had an incredibly powerful regeneration power, second only to Vulcan. He could survive and regenerate from devastating wounds very quickly, getting shot in the head with a sniper, getting tortured by his own marines, and so on. This regenerative factor increased further as Chaos empowered him, before then going into overdrive when he became a Demon Prince. All Demon Princes are known to be durable and highly regenerative, but Fulgrim was on another level. As such, there are 2 times he should have died, or at least gotten banished, where he didn't because of his obscene regen, but I thought we'd go over it anyway. The first was during the Siege of Terra. Fulgrim leads a full-on assault against the walls of the palace and comes face to face with Rogel Dawn. Fulgrim takes his mortal form for this duel and is frustrated by Dawn's unbreakable stance and supreme swordsmanship. Dawn lands blow after blow on Fulgrim as the Primarch of the 3rd Legion gets more and more enraged. Eventually, Dawn sees an opening and rams his mighty chainsword through Fulgrim's midsection. The chain blades chew up Fulgrim's insides as the blade bursts from Fulgrim's back in a shower of blood and gore. Even for a Primarch, this wound would be fatal. However, Fulgrim obviously survives, tells Dawn that he cannot die, and then says he is also sick of fighting since it actually fucking hurts a lot getting impaled by a gigantic chainsword. Then he leaves the battlefield to go jerk off or some shit. The second satisfying death of Fulgrim was during the famous events of Rylanor's Last Stand, where Rylanor manages to detonate a virus bomb in Fulgrim's face, killing himself, the 1,000 sons who sided with Rylanor over Fulgrim due to his nobility. However, it doesn't kill Fulgrim. His regenerative factor able to withstand a world-ending explosion of fire and death apparently. You may have noticed that Fulgrim's appearance has changed a lot from 30k to his 40k rendition. Some people say that this is due to his time spent as a Demon Prince morphing him to become uglier over time. However, I like to think that getting blasted by a virus bomb was so humiliating that as his body reformed, he was so full of embarrassment, rage, and spite that caused him to reform uglier. That is my theory, which would be cool as it would add more weight to Rylanor's sacrifice. This next death is kind of sad, but satisfying in a wholesome way. Ravash Kario was the leader of the Palatine Blades, an elite order of honourable swordmasters within the 3rd Legion. Pretty much only they and they alone resisted the corruption of their legion. They were traitors, but they maintained their noble, honourable side, all as much as a traitor can. This displeased Slaanesh, who wanted to claim them as well. As such, Kario heard the whispers of chaos, but tried to ignore them. He was obsessed with dueling and defeating a White Scars champion called Shaban, who would slain a number of the Palatine Blades and evaded Cario. When they eventually clashed, Cario got the upper hand, however his will was overcome and a demon began possessing him. Shaban took the chance to slay Cario, who was grateful that he could die as himself, uncorrupted against a great warrior. Gotta love GW killing off the only likable traitors from each legion, eh? Then we have Kasparos Telmar, captain of the 12th Company. This dickhead managed to survive the heresy and become one of the first transgender space marines. Very brave, although I think he actually just became a Thai ladyboy or something. They led a powerful warband and called themselves the Radiant Kings. As you can imagine, they were an insufferable wanker. They ended up getting so full of themselves that they attacked a craft world and begun consuming its spirit stones, hoping to ascend to become a demon prince. Near the height of their transformation, they got gangbanged by a bunch of harlequins and warlocks who obliterated Kasparos, killing them permanently. With all of these characters getting slaughtered one way or another, it literally only leaves Fulgrim, who should have died twice, Eidolon, who did die, Lucius, who keeps dying, Julius, who became a demon prince, and that's it. The rest are all dead. Any characters that get introduced with the new range have been created post-heresy, and good riddance. Now we just need a rematch between Nikonai, who I still believe to be alive, and Lucius to finally put the swordsman down for good, and I'll be happy. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up one of the Space Elf Lords or all of them. This is the final 24 hours before the Avenging Lord, Fire Lord, Hawk Lord, and Spider Lord are gone. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more satisfyingly violent content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.